Well, hey guys, how are ya?
I'm good. Kelly, how are you?
I can almost have full usage of my mouth at this point for my gum graft surgery, so
We're
Yeesh.
slowly getting there. Yes, sir.
slowly getting there.
Oh, it's almost debilitating, eh? You have something happen to your mouth, it changes the
Yeah.
whole game.
Especially as a radio announcer. No wonder I was worried about this whole situation. And I had the surgery on the 17th of October, so we're closing in on a month soon.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a real trooper, Kel.
I do have to thank the universe or higher power, however you'd like to phrase that, in the fact that like the marvel of the human body to heal is very, like, it's amazing.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
you'd
man.
never know it to see it by looking at you that you have major gum surgery. So
Well, that's the thing too, is like when you have like a something in your mouth where like it's something you use almost every second of every day, you
yeah.
realize you're like, I need this a lot right now. So
Oh man, when I had mine, the first thing I was hungry.
yeah.
Because one of the first things they tell you is, well, you're not gonna be able to eat solid food. I'm like, all I want is solid food right now, please.
Not the yogurt,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
the pudding. Ugh.
1 minute in, I'm starving.
Yeah.
Oh well, good for you, Kel. It's
Thank you.
behind you mostly now, and we're heading into a great big show. We've actually got
Yeah.
sad news from the or for the Backstreet family. So we'll talk about that. We'll tell you also what Metallica, Def Leppard, and Fall Out Boy have in common. Also, Kelly's trivia. We got a 90s rewind that'll take us back to back in the day. It's the whole idea of this podcast, right? We're going back to one of our favorite years in the 90s.
Yeah.
And of course, there's all kinds of news coming off the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony that puts so many of our favorite artists into the Rock Hall, and many more to be a part of the honor process. So let's start there because there's also a real angle to one of the artists that was scheduled to perform, but pulled out kind of last minute-ish too. So we're going to talk about that too. But it was a big night for Duran Duran, for the Eurythmics, for Lionel Richie, Carly Simon, Judas Priest. I think I end on them as a list because as far as rock goes, they are the rockingest. And what they got as their distinction and entry into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was the Award of Excellence. So thumbs up to them. What I ended up watching the red carpet ceremony online on Saturday night, and every single person that Bevy Smith interviewed on the red carpet, they all had one thing in common, which was that they were all psyched to see and meet Dolly Parton.
Who wouldn't?
No kidding. But it's funny to see like Simon Le Bon say, "Oh yeah, Dolly Parton, can't wait." You know, I've stood beside her in rehearsal. Pink, super excited to be there. She was talking about that too. And then of course, even Rob Halford was saying how excited he was to meet Dolly Parton. So like clear across the board, she wins in every genre and with everybody. So that's really cool. And she looked good too, was strutting down the red carpet. She's Dolly Parton, right? So really cool. So that airing of that official show will be November 19th on HBO. So we can look forward to that.
And shout out to R&B land, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis
Yes.
getting
Yeah.
in. And did you
My
see
gosh.
Janet?
I didn't see her on the red carpet. Was she on the red carpet?
I'm not sure if she did the red carpet, but obviously I follow a lot of Janet accounts, including her own.
Oh, right.
And
yeah.
you have to go see this, Sharon. And if you should check it out now. She did a throwback to honor her Control cover album photo shoot.
Oh,
So
really?
she did the 2022 version of the 1986 version, and she is stunning. And like
Oh, my
somebody put up
gosh.
a split screen. She's 56 now, and then she would have been 20 in 86.
Oh, my
And like you
gosh.
can't tell the difference. It's crazy. She looked amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And congratulations, of course, to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, like the most prolific songwriting duo. I think a lot of people would agree on that. I know there's others, obviously,
Oh,
but
of course.
they have amazing hit songs and the numbers are high. So
We like them.
we do.
Now, here's
I love
what
that Pink was excited to see Dolly Parton. She's the coolest.
really is the coolest. And I think easily one of the most humble artists. She herself has a new song out, which is amazing.
Mhm.
Amazing because, side note, she roller skates in the video, so
Yeah.
that's cool.
Bonus points.
Never Gonna Not Dance Again. It's an instant timeless classic.
Yeah,
Love
sounds
it.
amazing.
And
Yeah.
so for her to talk about how she was excited to meet Dolly Parton, she was just like, because the interviewer, Bevy Smith, said to her, well, you'll get in here one day. And she goes, oh, do you think so? But it was legit asking, like, oh, I don't know. Like, you're
Oh, for
Pink.
sure. By the way, there's a I don't know how to phrase this, Kelly Tina Landon connection to the Pink video.
What?
Ready for this?
Yes.
This is where I get to cross promote our show Just Dance, because we had on in the last like 2 months Nick Flores and RJ Durrell, who choreographed that video and who are the co-directors with Pink on that video.
Ooh,
So
get out.
and because I knew that they were her choreographers, but I didn't know. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but I think this is their first time directing a music video.
Wow.
So it's really cool. So yeah, so we did like an hour and something long interview with them. So if you are big fans of Pink, they talk about her in the interview. So if you go to hy.page/Kelly Alexander Show, you can subscribe to Just Dance and you'll see the interview right there. And they're such beautiful boys. They're so, talented and just like sweet. And Nick actually was on the All For You Janet tour back in 2001 as a Janet dancer.
Fun.
And RJ has also choreographed for Madonna. So
they've got some credibility.
yeah. Oh, they also did
What did
Katy
we
Perry's
do?
Super Bowl performance in 2015, by the way.
Wow.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh, they could retire.
They could.
All that.
But
all that stuff.
I feel like they're just getting going. Like they're
That'd be
awesome.
good. And that's the kind of thing too, I think, in any business, but certainly the creative based industries, you have to strike while the iron is hot. So you can't go, yeah, I did that great thing, I'm just going to put my feet up. You wouldn't anyways, because if you're creative, it tends to sort of generate, more of a drive to do it again and do more and expand and all that. So good for them. More to come for them, no doubt.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing about the Rock Hall that's surfaced recently, at least as per the time of our recording, is that Alanis Morissette was supposed to do a duet with Olivia Rodrigo on You're So Vain in honor of Carly Simon's induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but Alanis Morissette pulled out. Big news, actually, and certainly not holding back any explanation as to why she pulled out. Because she said she didn't want to spend time in an environment that reduces women.
Wow.
So I think that we'll get more details as time rocks on. But she again posted to social media and said things like, I have had countless incredible experiences with production teams with all genders throughout my life. So many and so fun. And there's nothing better than a team of diverse people coming together with one mission. I'll continue to show up in those environments with bells on. So not sure what happened exactly, but she said she's not going to make time for that sort of diminishment, which is interesting.
Well, the timing is also interesting because she clearly had agreed to do it, right?
Yeah.
So why are we backing out? So something must have happened, clearly, because you wouldn't agree to it and then be like, I don't want to do this now,
Well, no, exactly, because as she said, she's worked with production teams. She knows the work that goes in. She knows that, all the promo stuff, all the setup, all the rehearsal and whatever. So to pull something huge had to have happened as far as I can see.
Yeah.
Though I have no idea what. I am feeling very nosy and thinking, man, I want to know what happened. But I don't know what happened.
It'll be because for sure something's up, especially knowing Alanis doesn't shirk responsibility. So
exactly.
like she's a pretty, like, from what we know or I know, she always shows up when she's supposed to. So
yeah.
So I feel like something, but it's funny. I think over the last few years, some more women are speaking up about the Rock Hall, like saying like induct more women, just in general and that sort of stuff. So I wonder what went down.
It's interesting. It's an interesting time, I find, when there's still issues that offer control over like decisions and choices when it comes to women. Like, what? And across the board stuff. But we don't have to get too heavy on anything. But I find it funny. It's we are so 2022 that to have such antiquated approaches to things that put people in gender boxes still is alarming.
And you know what's interesting too is because this recently came to light in an interview that I just did. So back in like 97, 98, Janet was doing the VH1 Fashion Awards,
Mhm.
and she was supposed to open the show, and she wanted to do her song What About, which is about domestic violence. And the producers of the show said they didn't want to or want her to do that. They wanted like Together Again, which is Sharon's favorite song. And so but she told them, she's like, no, that's okay. Like, if I can't do the song, I'm not gonna do it. And then they turned around, you know, with their tail feathers and said, okay, you can do it. And then she did it and got a standing ovation. But I bet you if Michael Jackson had said it to begin with, there would have been no like,
Exactly.
we don't want you to do that song. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep. Oh,
so,
totally.
and so I appreciate that Janet stood up for herself at that time, and more
Agreed.
artists, female artists, have had to stand up to pave the way for younger artists to not have to deal with this. But the fact that we're still having to deal with it on some level is terrible.
Well, it is terrible, and it's not new. It's not new behavior. It's I don't know. Alanis talks even about quite specifically, she said, I have spent decades in an industry that is rife with an overarching anti-woman sentiment and have tolerated a lot of condescension and disrespectfulness, reduction, dismissiveness, contract breaching, unsupportiveness, exploitation, and psychological violence, and more throughout my career. I tolerated it because it wouldn't stop me from connecting with those whom I cared about and resonated with. So she has a commitment to her fans. So she dealt with a lot of crap. I think a lot of women deal with a lot of crap like that. But obviously there was a straw that broke the camel's back as far as the Rock Hall induction ceremony was concerned, and she was not having it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a strong voice though, and I fully appreciate the fact that she spoke out the way she did, because you have to. You got to
Can't
call.
wait to hear more about it.
Yeah, there will be
And
more, no doubt about that.
a slight disclaimer, Sharon, before you move on to the next story. I was told that Janet was asked to do Together Again, so I don't have privy to that conversation, but I know they wanted another song. I understand it was Together Again, but she definitely went with What About. So
good.
And actually, if you
As she
YouTube
should.
it, it's a very powerful performance. Like, so you just go Janet Jackson YouTube VH1 Fashion Awards, and it's sick. It's crazy. Very talented, very moving
But
performance.
imagine though, you're a show, you're an event, and you invite someone at the level of Janet Jackson to perform, and and what do you know, unless she's planning on doing something completely off chart, whatever, then you say, you know what, maybe you could play a hit or something, whatever. This was like kind of on brand, on point, timely, all that stuff.
Yeah.
What kind of nerve do you have that you're going to suggest anything to anybody at that level? Like you said, they wouldn't have done it to Michael Jackson.
Yeah. And on top of it too, like in 97, 98, like Janet was at the, you know, not the peak of her, you know, career by any stretch, because, you know, 2001 with All For You, but she was in the zone in 97, 98, right?
Of course.
Velvet Rope. And so, like you said, for anyone to even suggest or try to curate what she's going to perform at your VH1 like, you should be so lucky that she's showing up to perform for your little show. You know what I mean?
Kidding. Exactly. One more topic on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame subject, or one more offshoot of that, was that another person that wasn't at the ceremony was Andy Taylor of Duran Duran. And he shared his letter and sentiments through the band's social media, saying that he's got stage 4 prostate cancer and dealing with that. Devastated to have missed this chance to get back and enjoy the honor that he and his band of brothers were bestowed by entry into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But nothing but love for his bandmates and the great moment for the band. It's just sort of sad that he couldn't be there. So positive vibes toward the family of Duran Duran, and especially Andy Taylor.
I love Duran Duran so much.
They're so very high school for me. That they're such a part of the basis of what I love about music, that I love them too.
And they're just like the coolest. And as we've discussed before, when I was there in 2019 at the Rock Hall for Janet's induction, they were there, and I forget why now, but they were introducing somebody or inducting somebody who I can't remember right now. But like they were in front, like Simon Le Bon was like right in front of me in the press room, and I was like, oh my God, So my little like 12-year-old self was a very happy woman, and especially because they were so sweet and great with the press, which was cool. So
Oh yeah, you gotta love that.
mhm.
Um, I want to give a shout out. It's not just me that wants to give the shout out. We all collectively want to give a shout out to Dan Runcie and the Trapital podcast. What they're doing over there is kind of cool, and it's kind of in line with what we're doing as far as music and media and stuff in popular culture. But what they do at Trapital is offer insights and lessons learned from probably the biggest moguls in the industry. We talk about them. Dan Runcie talks to them. So what he offers is in-depth discussions that kind of break down, what's going on in the business, and really kind of cool angles of the business side of things. And he's talked to like Master P, Issa Rae, Rick Ross, and a ton more. So if you want to check them out, you probably should. So you'll find them online at trapital.co. And like I said, kind of similar to 90s Now, you'll find the platform, you'll find the podcast rather on wherever you get your podcast. So shout out to Dan once again.
You and I, Sharon, I'm not sure if Adam did, but we both listened to the Atlanta episode, like where they were talking about the music scene in Atlanta. And it was so crazy just to listen to how it has all just been built upon like different artists, and now it keeps going, and obviously for us in the 90s era, like So Def with Jermaine Dupri, like that kind of speaks to what we're doing. And it was just really fascinating to see where it was, how it evolved in the 90s and where it is now, with some of the artists that have done amazing things like Migos, who've been, on the scene for the last several years. And of course, they just suffered a huge tragedy with one of their members passing away in that terrible shooting accident. Or not an accident. Somebody decided to take out a gun and do bad things. So, I'm still in shock about that one, to be honest. Like, I just can't believe that has transpired again with another gun violence situation in the music industry. So,
we're in a strange time in the world where certainly it's not news. Gun violence isn't news, or isn't new rather, but it still makes the news. And it seems like everybody can get a gun whenever they want and clearly have success in whatever negative mission they aim. So,
and now too, I don't know if you noticed that. I'm sure you have. I'm sure that both of you have. Like, whether it's this or something else, it just seems like it's so easy now to get numb to it. When you hear about another musician that has been taken out by gun violence, because it's just like, oh, it's this one this week, and now it's that one this week, and then you see for a flurry of days, social media posts like, this person was amazing, can't believe they're gone, but then it goes on, and then there's somebody else 2 weeks later or a month later or what have you. And
well, to complement that, and not complement, or I guess to run alongside that, is that local news in any city, whatever the size of the city, there is also daily talk about gun violence. Even here, like Nice Canada, it's every day there's a story about something somewhere in the city. So that's kind of got to stop.
Yeah.
All right. Pushing the dark cloud over there.
I was like, anyways, shout out to our friends at Trapital.
Yeah. Thankfully, we got all the important information about trapital.co before we went down our dark slide of cloudiness.
It happens once in a while.
It does. You know what? I think serious stuff like that makes the fun stuff that we get to talk about on 90s Now that much more fun, because we get to seek out things that are positive, which is important. So with that in mind, how about we do some trivia?
Let's do it.
90s Now trivia.
Bing bong.
Bing to the bong.
So for a second week in a row, I'll remember that I have 2 questions to ask.
Would you?
Yeah, well, we're gonna give it a whirl. So this goes under the sport banner, if you will.
All right,
I will.
Here we are. Who won? No, we're not gonna go with that. Sorry.
Oh,
I almost had it.
You almost had it. Which cyclist won the Tour de France 5 times in the 90s?
Sharon.
Go, Sharon.
Did I get it first?
Yeah, you did.
Lance Armstrong.
Incorrect. Adam.
It's not Lance Armstrong.
No.
Arm
Like, that was-
Armstrong.
That was
Arm-
probably after the 90s.
He was just wasn't he like the 2003-ish or 2005?
Yeah, probably.
Something like
I don't
that.
know. I don't know. My cycling knowledge is dim.
But when I tell you this person's name, immediately there's gonna be a reaction. I know it. Maybe
Oh
not from Adam.
no,
Uh,
So you
I
don't
don't
know
know.
Adam?
I have no idea.
Sharon, one more guess.
Strong Lance Arm.
Oh,
No, I don't
it's
know.
Neil Armstrong, Louis
Imagine.
Armstrong.
He was too busy on the moon.
Okay.
Ready for this, Sharon? I'm looking at your reaction. Miguel Indurain.
Who?
Oh,
No.
Sharon, you know who he is.
I promise you, I don't.
Oh my God, I do.
Indurain?
Miguel, or well, I pronounced it Miguel Indurain. Maybe it was Miguel Indurain, but it's Indurain.
It's kind of ironic because those are the conditions you don't want to be in as a
Indurain,
cyclist.
yeah.
Indurain.
Oh, come on,
Well,
Sharon.
good for him, Miguel. Way to go!
For sure, you haven't heard of his name before ever.
I swear to God, no.
Okay, that's fair. But it's funny because when I read the question in preparation for the show, I was like, oh yeah, Lance. And when I turned around, I was like, oh, of course it's not. And he was like, yeah, obviously the big kahuna in the 90s because he won it 5 times.
Yikes!
There we go.
Good for him.
Let's see here. Oh, wait a minute. That's a question we've already asked. All right. This falls under the news and politics banner.
Great.
I'm listening.
Which agreement was signed in 1998, bringing an end to, quote, the Troubles?
Oh my. I don't know.
I'm not going to guess if there's going to be a acknowledgement of knowing when I tell the answer, because clearly I was way off with Miguel Indurain.
So in 1998, ending the Troubles, was
in,
it?
Ireland,
was
right?
it-
Yeah. So Sharon's right on that. So I need the name. Which agreement? Like, we have the Meech Lake Accord here in Canada.
I was just gonna make that joke. I know it's not the Meech Lake Accord.
Yeah.
So it's probably a random European city.
So Sharon's right. It's about Ireland. And the answer is
The Green Treaty.
the what?
The Green Treaty. The Treaty.
That's a good one. So it has 2 names: the Good Friday Agreement
Oh,
and or the Belfast Agreement.
there you go. I said it was a random European city.
Smart. Well, kind of less than random since it's Belfast and that's
Well,
over there.
To be honest, to this day, I still don't know what the Meech Lake Accord is about. Sharon, do you?
Well, it's the accord that happened at Meech Lake.
All right, that's fair. A second disclaimer before we move on to Sharon's next story.
I can't remember what it was about either. Just another full disclaimer. I have no
Yeah.
idea what I'm talking
So
about.
I was really upset last week that I messed up the girl group situation where I thought Escape had been later in the 90s. Like, I was
Mhm.
really troubled by all of this. Like, I was
You had
like,
the troubles, did you?
I had my own troubles. I had the Kelly troubles. I had the R&B 90s girl groups troubles. So I took a little looky, by the way, at 90s girl groups, and here's just a smattering, if you will, of them. So
Yeah.
Spice Girls, Destiny's Child, TLC, En Vogue, All Saints, Bewitched, Atomic Kitten, Pussycat Dolls, Black, which was Lisa Left Eye Lopez, so we were right on that.
Mm-hmm.
Girl Thing, 3LW, Expose, Salt and Peppa, S Club 7, SWV, Indigo Girls, Eternal, Escape, and the Cheetah Girls.
The Cheetah Girls.
Yeah, so there was a lot of girl groups, and then I just remembered another one that's not in this list. Total was also. Do you
Oh
remember?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I'm trying to reclaim my knowledge of the 90s girl groups because I was very troubled by my error. So, anyways.
Well, we both had gaffes because I went on and on about the Janet Jackson song that we were talking about, and it was a completely different song. So,
And
And
that
we-
song was just so personal to you, right?
oh well, yeah, and it's funny too because we have a similar thing. Because after the show last week, I went, oh, I know that song. It's from Poetic Justice. So, and I texted Kelly, and she's like, "Yeah, idiot." She didn't say that. I could tell by your text, though.
She
I
implied it.
had text tone.
Judgy.
Good judgy text tone.
We had sad news also over the weekend about Aaron Carter passing away, and the Backstreet Boys are on tour, and they took a moment to pay tribute to a member of their family. Certainly, Aaron Carter was 34 years old, and the younger brother of Nick Carter. And so they were in a show at the O2 in London as it was Kevin, right? That was
Yep.
pointing out that, you know, family means everything to them, and that they had lost a member of their family. And meanwhile, Nick Carter is wiping tears away. And, you know, they were getting hugs from his brothers in the band. And what he had done was posted videos to Instagram. And part of what he wrote, I think, is important to point out. He pointed the finger directly at addiction and mental illness as the real villains. And that's true. And I think in and of themselves, they're not the villains, more that I would suggest that a lack of conversation about those things makes them worse. So it's important, I think, that he pointed it out in his post, for sure. He also pointed out that their relationship was complicated, but that he loved his brother.
Yeah. Very, very sad. And what's, I mean, for years you've been wondering, you know,
Oh my
is
gosh.
Aaron going to be able to pull himself out of this
Yeah.
situation? And I think there was people around him that enabled him, and then I think
sure.
he made sure to stay around the people that would enable him. And I'd forgotten this, but obviously in the aftermath of his passing, like obviously a bunch of stories come out. I forgot that there was like Nick and his sister had to get a restraining order against Aaron.
Oh yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the year before the pandemic. I think that's when it happened. So
Yep.
it's clearly been a roller coaster ride with Aaron, and I liked what Nick said. Not that there's anything to like about this, but I liked that he said, I hope you found peace now.
Yeah. Yep. So may he rest in peace. And I mean, there's another element of you know, child stars, you know. Maybe there should be a limit to when you should be able to start in the business.
Well,
and
a few years ago too, Justin Bieber, I think he said to his manager, Scooter Braun, when he was first starting to take off, he said, don't let me turn into whatever. And then sure enough, he did, like when he was 17, 18. And it's not, you know, Scooter can do what he can do, but Justin's still a person. And when you're 18, and from what I heard too, like Justin at the time, he had the money to, like, he would fly away from Scooter. Like if he didn't like what was being said to him, he would just fly, go, leave, you know. And then he also had enablers around him at the time, because I remember some of his social media posts at the time. So when they have money and your adolescent brain,
oh yeah,
it's not always a good mixture.
No, and certainly people, the hangers on, want to, you know, enabling or whatever, but they're not going to tell you no if it means wrecking their gravy train, you know. So on to positive news. How about that? The tying element between Metallica, Def Leppard, and Fall Out Boy, all great bands, but they're also all getting the graphic novel treatment through cool. Vault Comics, which is kind of cool. What they were saying is that Vault Comics, from their angle, say that great musicians are storytellers, but some stories need to be told on the page. So they're going to bring these iconic recording artists to the page, which is cool because they get to, you know, connect all the elements of you know, rock stars, their fans, and then the visuals that can come out of the graphic novel experience. So Lars Ulrich was saying, you know, the team at Vault Comics are pushing boundaries. They're bold storytellers, so we're very excited to be partnered with them. Pete Wentz, Fall Out Boy, said, you know, talked about creating a new graphic novel with Vault. Has been an insane experience in the best possible way. And while there's no release dates for any of these experiences, Pete Wentz in his touting of positivity was saying soon. So that means that we could get these graphic novels soon. Whatever soon means.
What does soon mean? Yeah.
So subjective. Could it mean tomorrow? Could it mean tomorrow? Can we get it tomorrow? Probably not. So how about all this now? 90s Rewind. You ready for that?
Yeah.
We can go back to kind of the beginning of Aaron Carter's career, back to around this time in 1998. And again, Aaron Carter's career at this point, he was 11.
Ugh, that
Yeah.
young, eh?
Isn't that wild? And at that time, we were also hearing Savage Garden's Truly, Madly, Deeply.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We also were hearing she was genre crossover success story from country to popular music. Shania Twain, who we're hearing a lot about lately because she's returning to bigger audiences with a big old tour. But back around this time in 98, You're Still the One was getting turned up when
so
we were
good.
hearing it on the radio. So good is right. And another Canadian was making a big name for herself too, Deborah Cox. Nobody's Supposed to Be Here. That was huge. Oh my gosh.
So is the remix, Sharon.
No doubt, Cal.
I should send you that remix. It's a good song to listen to when you're doing cardio.
Who is the producer on that? The remixer
I
extraordinaire.
don't believe
Cal.
it's Thunderpuss.
I would only accept Thunderpuss.
Okay.
How about Jay-Z's Hard Knock Life?
Oh, that's, yeah.
If
That was in
anybody could,
1998.
yeah,
Wow.
really though, if anybody could take that song and make it, a hip hop legend, it would be the hip hop legend that is Jay-Z.
Adam was 4, by the way.
Aw,
Yeah.
little Adam. You're not allowed to listen to Jay-Z, little Adam.
I can confirm to you I was not listening to Jay-Z at that time.
How about this? You know what? This song has been in my head for days, and I think that by talking about it, perhaps it will leave my head and make way for another song to, take over that real estate. The song that we were hearing also quite a bit of background this time in 98 was All My Life. Casey and JoJo. Huge hit. Huge. It's on a loop in my head.
Huge.
Huge. Don't
Get
even need
it
the
out.
H. You don't even need the H in huge. And that's your 90s Rewind.
Thank you.
Good job, Sharon.
Hey, good job, team. Yeah.
Quick update. So first of all, even though we are technically in season 11,
Yeah.
by the time we do our next show, we'll have celebrated our legit 10th year of doing the show.
Wow.
What?
You remember the first, like the date of the first recording?
If memory serves, it's November 12th of 2012.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's all
right.
Kelly was the seller on that one, and she pitched it well, and I said, all right.
And then she recruited me, 6-7 years later?
Isn't
that,
that crazy?
Mhm.
That I find remarkable too, because it's been such a long time, and it just makes complete sense that this show has evolved into what we get to do every week and have fun with. So ahead of what will be a happy anniversary. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, thank you. And also we got some good news, and I don't know, Sharon, I'm assuming you got this good news, but Carolyn, just give a shout out to her because she's been going through quite a challenge over the last couple of months, if not longer. And she sent me a note saying that things are positive. So
good.
in the best way possible. So just wanting to send out positive vibes that it continues in that direction for her, and to thank her so much for listening each and every week and watching us too on the YouTube channel. So
It's fun when we were talking about it last week, and how we thank everybody for listening at the end of the show. It makes a diff, knowing that things are happening in people's lives and they feel comfortable enough sharing that with us. It's a sense of positivity for us too. So we appreciate knowing that. And Carolyn, you are a star, no question.
And lastly, to leave everyone in a laugh, I guess I jinxed myself by bringing up the Mel C interview
Yeah.
request. Crickets to my
Oh, darn it.
I'm devastated. So I sent it to the UK lady, nothing. Waited
Wow.
a few days, and then I was like, well, I'm just gonna email the American press lady, who is actually British from my understanding, and also crickets.
Are you sure you sent the picture, Kelly?
Yeah, I sent the picture 2
Ah.
times. Yeah. I'm starting to think that the picture's my downfall. Maybe it was too much.
Resend it with a red arrow. This is me and her.
So I should have
That's
kept
funny.
my mouth shut, but I was feeling like super positive, and I'm still now determined without turning into a stalker to get. Yeah.
Your next picture should be you and a blank space. This could be her. That'll do it, Kel. That'll get you the interview for sure.
Fingers crossed. I'll hopefully have an update for you on next week's show about the quest to
Good
get
luck.
wealthy.
Keep
Good
us
luck.
posted.
I will.
Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you all.
Yes, thank you all very much. Thank you for finding us wherever it is that you do and passing on the good word about 90s now. Still happening.